Only I am a necromancer. Author, Jijumjang. Chapter 1. Campus that Turned into a Hell, Part 3. Although Sungwoo could not understand what was going on, he had only 5 seconds left. Wait a minute. Wasn't there a reminder that I should choose a good card in order to survive in the ruined world? Sungwoo reached out for a card unconsciously. He picked up the one with the most stars. Although he had no rational ground for choosing that one, he felt like he wanted to choose it if he had to anyway. The card he picked up seemed unusual at first glance. With the black background, it had the drawing of a man in a white robe holding a long sickle. You chose an occupation card. Necromancer. 5 stars. Necromancer. Isn't Necromancer a wizard who controls skeletons or corpses in the fantasy world? Your first occupation selection window has now closed. Those who failed to choose one, please wait for the next chance. The card selection ended with that message, and all the messages disappeared. Then the lecture hall became bright again, and the electricity came back. Crackle. At that moment, the guy in front of Sungwoo began to gently raise the sword off the desk. The sharp blade flashed under the fluorescent lights. The lecture hall was quiet. Everybody fixed their eyes on the sword with embarrassed looks. Where did it fall from? What happened a moment ago? I feel like I was possessed by something. And what the heck is that sword? Is it a real sword? Oh my god. I'm scared. The lecture hall suddenly became noisy after a lapse of silence. Even the professor was looking out the window as if he was completely distracted by this mysterious phenomenon. Sungwoo could not grasp the situation, but he was still bothered by the holographic message that said, "Fit to survive in the ruined world." The whole text containing the message felt ominous to him. "This dropped when I chose the card with the drawing of the fighter," said the guy in front of Sungwoo, raising the sword. Hearing that, Sungwoo looked up at the ceiling. Dang it! Am I really a necromancer? Why's nothing appearing before me? Right at that moment, the back door of the lecture hall flung open suddenly, and something came in with a bang. It was a man covered with blood. Arg! Ah! Get this out of me! Blood gushed out of his neck and sprayed over his shirt. And there was something stuck on his back. A small green-skinned animal recklessly brandished a deadly weapon with its right hand, grabbing his hair with its left hand. Pook! 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 The little knife was stabbed in the man's back and neck indiscriminately. He tried to resist the attack by all means, but he staggered dangerously as if he had bled too much.
Oh my god. What the heck is that? Arg. The lecture hall turned into a mess all of a sudden. Terrified by the scene, all the students began fleeing the front of the hall, pushing and shoving the desks which screeched all over the place. It was the crucible of chaos itself. Yuch. The bloody man finally collapsed. Watching with his dilated pupils, Sungwoo held his breath and took his butt off the chair slowly. Dang it. As he was sitting in the seat right in front of the back door, he could hardly move because he felt like it could draw the monster's attention. The green monster roared over the man's body. Then it turned its head quickly, rolling its yellow eyes. It was obviously looking for its next prey. Ah, sword. Hey, Minsu, use the sword. Minsu, do something about it. Please. Amid the chaotic situation, they began to look for Minsu, the only man holding the sword. And all of them hid behind his back. Sungwoo also cautiously stood up and looked at him anxiously. Sungwoo was now the closest person to the green. How can I? You have the sword. But it seemed that Minsu had no intention of challenging the monster at all. He was holding the sword with both hands, but he was trembling hard. Hey, Minsu, you remember me, right? Standing in place, Sungwoo called his name in a calm tone. Though both of them were not close friends, they knew each other. God damn it. What do you want me to do? Ah. As he reacted violently, Sungwoo immediately felt that it was impossible to persuade him. After all, the monster turned to Sungwoo, who was close by, and ran into him. Sungwoo wished he had escaped quickly, but it was too late. The green monster turned up its mouth slightly, then charged toward him. Arg! Sungwoo screamed sharply, but he decided to challenge the monster rather than flee because then he struck its head with the desk chair rather than throwing it. The monster came close right up to his nose, stretching the knife, but it could not do anything when struck against the heavy desk chair. Struck hard, it stuck out its tongue with its broken head. At first glance, it was killed on the spot. Less than you got 10 gold by knocking down the goblin. Greater than, ha. Breathing out roughly, Sungwoo stepped back. Looking back, the scared students were watching him. Goblin. 10 gold. No way. The little green monster was like the low-level,